Liverpool finally broken their silence on the Mo Salah situation, and many player in the Liverpool squad has clapped back at Jamie Carragher. I want to start this by saying a big thank you to especially the Liverpool fans in this brilliant community we're building for all of your kind words and feedback over the last 24 hours. It's a difficult subject to cover, although it's important to talk about it. And I am doing my absolute best here to drop rivalries, drop tribalism, and have honest conversations. So I want to thank you all for your kind words. That being said, please like this video. Please share it. If you've got any hypes left, get it hyped up as well. Because I think this is really, really important, especially after what Steven Gerrard came out and said yesterday, and Liverpool now reacting to the situation and putting the ball firmly in the court of Mohamed Salah. Now, before we go into that, I want to touch on the Jamie Carragher point element first of all. Why? For me, I think Jamie Carragher's got a personal problem with Mo Salah. That's what I believe. I think 50 to 60% of what he said in his monologue on Monday night and what he said on CBS, there's truth to it. I think it was wrong that Mohamed Salah made this public. I think it was wrong that he suggested he carried the team to a league title. That's actually because I think it's disrespectful to your teammates. I don't believe in one-man teams in football anyway. I think I think it's a nonsense concept by and large. Do I appreciate, though, where Mo Salah's coming from? Absolutely. Do I understand his frustrations? Yes. Is there a better way of handling this? Unless there is proof that he has tried every avenue for weeks and weeks and months and been rejected at every step of the way, yes, there are better ways to have handled this. That all being said, Jamie Carragher, for me, talking about him being a Chelsea flop, him throwing Trent Alexander-Arnold under the bus for 8 years by not defending, bringing up his AFCON performances and his career so far with Egypt, they for me were cheap shots. They for me were unnecessary and not needed. And the way Steven Gerrard articulated himself and was so balanced in this circumstance on TNT Sports, I think is the perfect way for another Liverpool legend to behave. Acknowledging the elements that Mo Salah has got wrong, but equally looking at it from a point of view that these things happen and the club have got to work as hard as possible now, along with the captain Virgil van Dijk, to resolve this matter for the most important people at Liverpool, which are the fans. Now, that being said, an article has come out today in the Daily Mail from Ian Ladyman, who says some of Liverpool's players have been irritated by Jamie Carragher's views, and the club was moved to meet with him in late September after the Crystal Palace game to talk about the tone of some of his coverage. Now, this isn't the first group of players that have done this. Manchester United's players reportedly are very frustrated with the way the class of 92 and some of our ex-players talk about them. They feel that although criticism is necessary, it is often over the top. It is often incendiary, it's often clickbaity, it's often exaggerated, and they feel as some of them still being ambassadors for the club, maybe a little bit more leeway is needed. And to be honest with you, I'm someone who sees it from both sides. My job, I praise and I criticise football players. At the same time, there comes a point, and I'll use Jadon Sancho as an example. When Jadon Sancho was out of the Man United team and he was getting a lot of stick because he spoke publicly and, you know, wasn't working hard enough, I felt that the conversation moved on from him as a footballer and it went into all manner of his personal life, which I felt was too far. I felt was too disrespectful. So I personally moved away from criticising him because I didn't feel that it was going to add any value to the conversation. It just created more and more of a pile-on. And sometimes I do think that pundits and the media, they go beyond criticising and they create pile-ons. And I think there is a balance between these two things. It goes on to say that sources reveal it was a cordial meeting, but Carragher is known to suspect the meeting was driven by players, and there is no evidence to contradict that. Now, what I find interesting is that Carragher, for me, in this circumstance, seemed really driven to prove he was right about Mo Salah being a selfish person, wants to hone in that he is correct. I think he has stuck it on a number of players recently, and sometimes I feel that he's playing up for the cameras a little bit. Just my view. I then look at the way Steven Gerrard reacted to this, and I go, that for me is a far more balanced approach. He didn't make it personal, where I think what Carragher has done is make it personal. Now, that all being put aside, and you guys, I want to get your opinions on that. Do you think Jamie Carragher went too far? Do you think it was perfect? Do you think he didn't go far enough? Right or wrong? Would love your opinions on that. Now, the next part comes from David Ornstein. And David Ornstein has stated that at Liverpool, the general perception is that Mo Salah made his incendiary comments either because he genuinely wants to force a move out of the club or because he wants to put pressure on Slot. Liverpool's stance, though, is that they don't want to sell. Senior club figures have pointed to the fact that Salah is under contract until the summer of 2027, and his recent spell out of the starting lineup was only viewed as a temporary measure. Now, why is this significant? And I'll tell you as to why. Yesterday, I had a really good debate and conversation with Judge Mo and Don Hussam about this, who are both very firmly on Mo Salah's side, suggesting that he was right to speak out because this is bigger than Slot. The club aren't listening to him. The club are scapegoating him. They spoke about how Liverpool had pushed out into the media stories of his sort of selfishness, not having friends at the club, not being needed anymore, the legs going. To which I take at face value. I'm not even pushing back against it now. But this update from maybe the most respected journalist here in the UK when it comes to football, stating that Liverpool have said to him they do not want to sell. So Liverpool here, they're not making a public statement, but they're doing it via a journalist. We have no intention to sell. We are not scapegoating him. He's got a contract until 2027, and we want him to honour it. Yes, he's out of the team right now, but it was a temporary measure whilst new things were tried and tested, but he's a big part of our plans. That is how I am reading that. Of course, I want to ascertain what you think, but for me, when reading this, that reads as Liverpool want Mo Salah to stay. Liverpool think he is worth the money they've paid him. They've given him that new big contract, and him being out the team is a temporary measure and not a long-term one. So for me, it clears up the conversation around whether Liverpool are trying to force him out. Now, what it goes on to state, David Ornstein, is that they are bewildered. Liverpool are bewildered at the speed in which things have unravelled. But there is also a feeling that the ball is in the court, in Mo Salah's court, and he needs to tell the club what his intentions are. If he wants to leave Liverpool, he needs to outline how that will happen, that can happen, and Liverpool can then react. So again, Liverpool here are saying, we want you, Mo. We need to resolve the situation, but you need to give us your intentions. Do you want to stay and fight for your place in the team, and you will be given opportunities? Or do you want to leave? And I think for me, this is significant because Mo Salah is allowed to feel the way he feels. Doesn't make his behaviour and going public correct, in my opinion. But if he feels he's being forced out, if he feels he's being pushed out, this now via David Ornstein shows, in my personal opinion, that the club want him to stay. It is now on his decision. He says there is also an acknowledgement, however, that if Mo Salah's stance remains hardline and no resolution can be found, then the situation would become untenable, which I think is fair on all parts. For instance, if Mo Salah says, I don't care if you guys are saying this to the media, I don't care if Slot says he's going to give me a chance back in the first team to prove my worth, I think you're out to get me, I don't trust you, I think you're throwing me under the bus, the manager don't rate me, I have no... If he doesn't change his mind on this, there's no way they can keep him. Whether you're on Salah's side, Liverpool's side, or in the middle, he can't stay if he feels the way he does. The way he felt Saturday evening, if that doesn't dissipate, if he doesn't do as Steven Gerrard suggested, which is pull back the comments about being thrown under the bus, if he doesn't look to find that compromise with Arne Slot, then of course he's got to go. And the one thing I stand resolute on when it comes to my opinions on this is that Liverpool can't allow player power to ensue. So even if Slot has made mistakes here and maybe not communicated well, the player still can't be... They can't support a player publicly speaking out this way. Not in my view. Not in my personal opinion. But for me, I think Liverpool have made their stance really clear here via David Ornstein, that they want him, they want to resolve the situation, and they want to put this to bed as soon as possible. The question now comes down to Mo Salah. Does he want to stay or does he want to go? Maybe that changes everybody's minds on the situation. Maybe it furthers their current belief. That's what I can't wait to read in the comment section below. But I think this is a very blunt, a very honest, And to some people, maybe even a bit of a brutal response from Liverpool to go, look, this has happened. This is the scenario. This is what we want to happen. Ball over to you. And I think they've got to handle it this way. Short, sharp and sweet. On Jamie Carragher, look, he is a Liverpool legend, and I know Liverpool fans feel an affinity towards him and want to protect him. And I get and I respect that wholeheartedly. But I think he's got to try and refrain from the more personal level attacks and focus more on the footballing element, as Steven Gerrard has done. As ever, look, I want to thank all of you for tuning in as regularly as you do to the channel, whether you're a Liverpool fan, a United fan, Chelsea, Arsenal, City or anybody else in between. I know some of you don't even support Premier League teams. I want to thank you all very much. But until next time, take care, goodbye, God bless, and I'll see you soon. Peace.